Harper One and HarperAudio present A Year with Rumi, Daily Readings by Coleman Barks, with John Moyne, Nevit Ergon, A.J. Arbery, Reynold Nicholson, and others. Read by Sean Rohani. Introduction. The Love Religion, Wild Soul Books, and What Is. The story of Rumi's life is well known. Born in the early 13th century into a lineage of scholars and mystics in Balkh, then at the eastern edge of the Persian Empire, now in northern Afghanistan, he left as a boy with his family just ahead of the advancing armies of Genghis Khan. After several years of traveling, they settled in Konya, south-central Turkey, where Rumi became the leader, after his father Bahauddin's death, of a dervish learning community. His life and consciousness changed radically after the meeting in 1244 with his teacher and friend, Shams Tabriz, a wandering meditator of fiery force and originality. The inner work that Shams did with Rumi, and Rumi with Shams, produced the poetry. It springs from their friendship. The words that came so spontaneously carry a broad range of religious awareness, the meditative silence and no mind of Zen, the open heart and compassion of Jesus, the stern discipline of Muhammad, the convivial humor of Taoists, the crazy wisdom and bright intelligence of the Jewish Hasidic masters. Rumi is a planetary poet, loved the world over for the grandeur of his surrender and for the freedom and grace of his poetry. He was nurtured within the Islamic tradition, the Persian language, and a long line of Sufis, but it is his connection with Shams of Tabriz that lets his work transcend definition and doctrine. The poetry feels as though it belongs to all. When he died in 1273, members of every religion came to the funeral. Wherever you stand, his words deepen your connection to the mystery of being alive. The wide use of Rumi texts in multicultural gatherings, that vivid and characterizing feature of our landscape, has roots, I believe, in the continuous human search for true identity, for soul. Whatever the soul is, it does get fed by practices that honor its presence. Such practices might include walking for a lot of people in these sedentary times, and also the habit of reading a wild soul book. Those volumes vary with each taste and need. Montaigne's Essays for Emerson, Rousseau for Hazlitt, Turgenev's A Sportsman's Sketches for Hemingway, Chekhov for Raymond Carver, Dickens for Faulkner, Taoist poetry for Robert Bly, G.K. Chesterton for Andrew Dick, Benedetto Croce for Rabindranath Tagore, Nietzsche for Edwin Muir, Flann O'Brien's The Third Policeman for John Seawright, D.H. Lawrence's poetry for Galway Kinnell, P.G. Wodehouse for Robert West, Goethe's Letters to Eckermann for my sister Betsy, Elizabeth Cox, Henri Nouwen for my brother Herb, Meister Eckhart for James Wright, Lord Jim for Annie Dillard, Thornton Wilder for Ed Hicks, Ruskin and Crab Robinson for Mary Oliver, Ibn Arabi for Ed Hirsch, Mark's Gospel and Hardy's poetry for Donald Hall, Euripides for C.S. Lewis, Hamlet and King Lear for Ellen Williams. For Elizabeth Bishop, it was a rock-like, very dull second volume of a study on some industrial technique. For Marianne Moore, a Saturday morning lecture on Java. I wonder what would be a wild soul book for Harry Crews. James Agee? For me, since 1976, I have felt the bright wind coming from Rumi, the Shams, and the Masnavi. I devised a soul book practice for myself that eventually became this Rumi work and play. After a day of teaching sophomore literature at a university,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?